Hello, we are going to be talking about business structures in the advertising industry. This is one of the actually earlier chapters in the textbook, but I decided to hold it off until now and come back to it. And our textbook is Advertising Age, The Principles of Advertising and Marketing Communication at Work, Thorson and Duffy, Cengage Publishing. Most advertising and promotion originates in advertising agencies. So advertising agencies very, very prominent, obviously, in the advertising industry. Good chance that you might work for an advertising agency someday. WPP Group of London in the UK is the world's largest advertising agency, generating $19 billion in annual revenue with over 200,000 employees. Here's a video about WPP. All right, pretty extraordinary piece of work there in and of itself. And you saw some things there about culture that exists within advertising agencies. We'll be talking more about that in the next few minutes. But every place is a little bit different and distinctive. The largest advertising companies in the world, and as we mentioned, WPP Group, and it kind of varies. You may see other articles that would have a different lineup here, but this is from the World Atlas. WPP Group, the top 5 advertising companies: Omnicom, Publicis, Interpublic, and Dentsu, which is Japanese. So have a look at that and be thinking about advertising agencies as possibly a career path for yourself. Ad agencies have personalities, which we just saw in that promo and that video from WPP, and they are reflected in the advertising they create. And we have discussed this earlier in the class, the personalities that advertising agencies have. Most agencies have a defined culture that stays true to the vision of the founders of the agency. Many offer perks to employees to inspire creativity, team spirit, and loyalty. And we'll look at a few of those. There's quite a long list of these in your textbook, but we'll just look at a few of them. Field trips to exotic locales. The trip to Tokyo that one advertising agency had for its employees was mentioned. Special classes and workshops for career development. E-newsletters offering fun and irreverent commentary about the agency and the advertising business. So advertising agency can be a fun place to work, and certainly a stimulating place to work. Now, the advertisers themselves, these are the people who place the ads. Advertisers also have different personalities and strategies. In the recession of 2009, Walmart increased ad spending by 14% and had a 1.1% increase in sales compared to an overall decline. If you looked at all retail companies, an overall decline of 2.1% in retail sales. So Walmart was aggressive, and it paid off for Walmart. That's an example of the personalities and strategies that different advertisers will have. The most important resource corporations have, of course, is their brands, the name, and the image of the company. Sometimes it is literally an image, a logo. Brand managers have increasingly become brand advocates, using social media to respond quickly to changes in consumer behavior, and less tied to a yearly budget and campaigns in traditional media. So things change very quickly, and the brand managers have to be ready to respond to change. I've got a couple of videos to show you here about brand managers. These tend to be relatively young people, and so let's look at a couple of these short videos.
From a brand manager standpoint, it's probably the closest you can get to really being the center spoke in a wheel and working a little bit on everything.
It's definitely challenging at times, but it's really cool to see everything come together at the end.
I think the fact that Unilever is actually a house of brands, right, is something that's kind of not always thought about. Like, you'll think about the Axe company or the Dove company, but actually we all work at Unilever.
I was looking into marketing throughout business school and really liked the idea of kind of something more entrepreneurial or something that was both creative and quantitative.
So there are two ways that we look at marketing at Unilever. There's local marketing and then there's global marketing. So I work on the local side where I'm very close to the day-in-day P&L. So how are we performing? How much are we selling? How much profit are we actually making?
I love interacting with people, so working with all sorts of different people, and they're kind of the experts in their field.
I have individual goals for my campaigns. Like, is our new campaign meeting its business case? But also, are you pushing the brand in certain areas? So you may be doing well in how the brand's situated now, but are you pushing us from a digital standpoint? Are you making sure that we're hitting our target customers?
We'll pause that at that point because, as I say, there's another video I want to show you, and that one was from Axe, and Unilever. This one is from Procter & Gamble.
My name is Maddie Bell, and I'm an ABM on Always. Brand management's just an amazing job because you get to do all of the creative things that one would associate with marketing, and at the same time, you get to own your own part of the business. Every day you wake up wondering how you can take your project and make it better, and how you can build your brand. This is the best job that you could ever ask for. You get to own things every single day, and you get to do it with a group of people that are incredible.
I'm Curtis Friends. I'm an ABM with Head & Shoulders. I'm 1 year in with Head & Shoulders, and I am working with one of the biggest athletes in the world, Michael Phelps. For our brand's semi-annual event, we flew out to Silicon Valley, and I was able to set up meetings with Facebook, Google, and Apple. We got to go onto their campuses, and they taught us about what kind of best-in-class looks like for the digital space. And honestly, that was awesome.
My name is Molly Campanella. I'm an assistant brand manager on Old Spice. We do a lot of things to stay close to what our core guy consumer is watching. So we do things like we watch Tosh.0, we watch Family Guy, we watch Archer. We've had GQ come in and talk to us about guys' fashion. We also had the guys from Xbox came in. They brought in an Xbox. We got to play. We have a very serious job, but we approach it with a lot of fun.
I'm Alex Castaño. I'm an ABM in baby care. Not only am I part of the happy and healthy development of babies, which is something great and that I love to be a part of and I love to talk to my friends and family about, but another thing is that this is part of something bigger from a company-wide where we're committed to touching and improving lives everywhere. So no matter what brand you go to, you're always working towards that goal and that purpose, which is personally rewarding as well as something that you can take anywhere you go.
Okay, so those were all assistant brand managers. Of course, there's going to be people at different levels, and all of those rather young people working for the Procter & Gamble company, one of the biggest corporations in the world. Lots of brands within Procter & Gamble. But the brand manager or the assistant brand manager, they are thinking of ways to promote the brand and to make the brand more valuable, more profitable. And so, as you can see, can be a very stimulating job. The relative importance of public relations in advertising. And we haven't talked a lot about public relations in this course because this is a course that's focused on advertising, but of course we have classes on public relations. Some of you may be taking a public relations course. Public relations has more to do with publicity that is generated mainly in the media, and we think first of news media, but it might also be entertainment media as well. It is not paid publicity. It is publicity that has something to do with programming that appears on television, radio, and what have you, but it's not paid advertising. It can be generated, it can be encouraged and promoted, public relations. So one thing that we think of with public relations is word of mouth. And word of mouth, not anything new. It's what people say about your company, about your brand, about your product. It has always been important, but probably even more important now because of social media, because of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the rest.
Of all the ways to promote your product, brand, or organization, the most effective is customer-to-customer word of mouth. Advertising, personal communication, and social media are all great ways to get information to your various audiences, but they're the word of the marketer, and that word isn't always trusted because there's an inherent conflict of interest. Do the marketers really want to solve my problems, or do they just want to take my money? So why does word of mouth work so well? There are 3 reasons. First, people perceive other customers, even when they're complete strangers, to be more trustworthy than the marketed brand. Second, other customers are perceived as being more knowledgeable about the product and its strengths and weaknesses from the buyer side. They truly know if and when it works well and when it doesn't. Finally, word of mouth is better for your organization because now your prospects come to you more informed and more convinced that you can fulfill their needs. They've been, in a sense, vetted or screened via deeper conversations with former customers that resulted in their desire to seek you out. But there's something you need to do on your side. To ensure that customer-to-customer word of mouth is positive, you need to create excellent customer experiences, ensure that those experiences are recognized by your customers, and then empower them through training and communication tools to share their experiences with others. I'm Anthony Miyazaki, and this has been the Marketing Minute.
Okay, so with word of mouth, digital communications in particular, having to do with word of mouth, this travels farther and faster than ever because of social media. So there is actually the effort, and this is primarily through public relations, but we're going to see that public relations and advertising work very closely together. Word of mouth is actually something companies, organizations attempt to manage and influence. So when people who are not employees, when people who are not paid spokespeople are saying good things about a product, people listen to that, and especially friends, people that they know. So word of mouth, very valuable. Public relations, of course, as we've already said, involves unpaid media attention promoting a brand. So things that appear in the news in particular. Not sure if we talk here about placement in product placement in movies and television programs. That's another possibility. Now there is more coordination between public relations and advertising. And in fact, now one person may be in charge of both functions. So there's more of a recognition that public relations and advertising should work together. Relationships between advertising agencies and advertisers, their clients. Before the 1990s, advertisers received most of their revenues from commissions, that should be commissions, not commissioners, from commissions on media purchases. In other words, they got a percentage of what they spent from the media organization. If they placed a large advertising order with the Dallas Morning News, then they would receive a percentage. The advertising agency would receive a percentage of that, or the same with a television station or television network. Now advertisers, the clients, pay fees depending on the amount of work done. And that is usually measured in hours, so this would be similar to the fees charged by an attorney. Some argue that agencies should be paid on the value of the advertising they create. In other words, the results. They would be paid more for a campaign that generates more sales. But we have not moved in that direction very, very much to this point. In recent years, advertisers have been more inclined to fire ad agencies. They have been less patient with ad agencies. They view the ad agency less as a partner and more as a service provider. There used to be long-standing, and to some extent this still exists, long-standing relationship between an advertising agency and a client. That's less likely to be true today. So we say the ad agency may be viewed more simply as a service provider and not a partner. Media companies such as Google and Condé Nast, which is a magazine publisher, are offering advertising development that directly competes with agencies. So there's more pressure on the advertising agencies to perform than there once was. That relationship between the advertising agency and the client is less firm than it once was. This is a good article on the client-agency relationship, and I'm going to swing down here to the lower part. I'm not going to read these word for word or line for line. You might want to look at it. Guidelines for the client to preserve a relationship with the advertising agency. Treat the ad agency with courtesy at all times. Never hurt its ego. Advertising agencies are very interesting, unique type of businesses. And as we say, they do have personalities, and so it's possible to damage the ego of the agency or the people in the agency. Provide all possible information about the product to be advertised and the organization. A well-informed ad agency will make better ads. Don't unnecessarily bargain for the fees charged by the ad agency, as this may affect the quality of work. If you get them to lower their fees, but they do that reluctantly, then are they going to work as hard for you and be as effective for you? Motivate the agency to do good, impactful work. Its charges, such as media bills, fees, and other costs, must be paid well in time. And so this goes on. Again, I'm not going to read every one to you. Advice to the advertising agency to maintain good relationships with the clients. The advertising agency should do smart and hard work to bring success to the client's ad campaign. Ultimately, you have to make the client feel that you have acted in their behalf and to their benefit. It should make a good advertising plan and must implement it efficiently and effectively. However, first it must get the approval from the client. It has to be buy-in from the client. It is the duty of the account executive of the agency to keep his customer happy and satisfied. 4, it should not charge clients unreasonably high rates. It should not make ads for the client's competitor. So, again, this goes on for some time, but it's a good picture of things that need to happen for there to be a good relationship between the advertising agency and the advertiser or the client. Media, and these are the people that receive the advertising orders and then present the advertising to the public. Traditionally, there were four main media outlets for advertising: print, newspapers, magazines, television, radio, and direct mail. The digital revolution has led to many more options, of course. Many media are attempting to become producers of advertising themselves. And search companies, for example, Google and YouTube, are attempting to become mainstream media. So the lines are much more blurred than they once were between especially advertising agencies and media. Advertisers and media want to present their messages, the ads, to specific audiences who will welcome the messages. In other words, the shotgun approach of kind of guessing at who will see this ad is more or less over. So it has become very possible to very specifically and directly target advertising, and that is what is now much more so expected. And of course, it's possible to do much more so now with social media. And for some time, this has been true with cable TV and with satellite TV, and even radio is very much formatted to very specific audiences. More than ever, the advertising must make sense in the context of the programming or content. Again, we have such specific channels of information, and that advertising then has to make sense within the context of that particular content, whether it's on social media, television, radio, what have you. So you're going to hear different ads for different radio formats. Same product, same company will have different ads within different formats on radio. Same thing for television, where you have very specialized cable and satellite channels. Customization, personalization, interactivity, and targeted delivery via the internet, social networks, smartphone apps, and so on have fundamentally changed the relationships among advertising agencies, advertisers, and media. So it's very different landscape than what we saw even in the 90s, even in the early part of the 21st century. So customization, making things specific to a particular advertiser or channel. Personalization, interactivity, very much part of social media. Targeted delivery. You see ads on Facebook that I do not see. All of this has changed the way advertising is conducted. And so with that, we'll wrap up this conversation and be talking to you again soon. I do have one more line. All of these must be better coordinated. And advertising professionals and the work that they do must be better coordinated. They must be faster on their feet. Changes come about very quickly, and willing to innovate as new content, devices, and features are invented. So you can't say, well, this is how we've always done it, and we're going to continue to do it that way. You have to be alert and ready for very quick changes. Okay, so